Well, y'all, I guess Alicia does know how to pause on making emotional decisions because the way that she handled Bakari in this moment surprised me. Okay. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to my channel, Reviewed, where we talk about all things television and film from today and yesteryear. So I wanted to come on here and do a brief recap of The Shy, Season 7, Episode 11. Now, y'all, this episode for me was very meh. Okay. Like, it really did not get much of my attention. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't into it like I usually am. And I was very surprised, especially since the way things ended last week. You know what I'm saying? So I was shocked that the episode just really wasn't giving to me. Okay, that's just my opinion. And we start off with Alicia. She's still talking to Bakari. And, she was like, I know you know who sent my son to be on a permanent vacation with the Lord. And Bakari, he's literally lying to Alicia's face. He was like, I thought Zay did it. And she was like, how do you know? He was like, because that's what Nuck told me. And, Alicia, she tends to be a very formidable person, very hubris. But in this moment, I was like, oh my God, is she a little soft-hearted when it comes to Bakari? I mean, outside of the fact that she canceled his scholarship, but baby, the fact that she was not choking him out in this moment, I was like, okay, so maybe she does have a little softness for Bakari, because I was very surprised in the way that she handled this moment. And I was also shocked that Bakari stood 10 toes down in the lie. You know what I'm saying? Like he just did not let up. He really surprised me. Both of them did. Okay.
You're sure it wasn't Nuck? Yes, I'm sure. Why do you believe him? Because I know him. Are you willing to die for him? You're loyal to him. I'm loyal to myself.
So Reg meets up with Hannibal and he's letting Hannibal know that he knows somebody is snitching. Okay. He was like, he set the whole thing up with the jewelry store. He was like, had that been me, had I actually shown up to the store, I would have been arrested. And he was like, I knew something was not right. Again, back to the vehicle, Reggie knows someone is watching him. And while he's saying these things to Hannibal's just playing it cool, like, what's up? He's very calm, collective. He does not break a sweat at all. Hannibal does not. And Reg basically says to him, I'm calling everybody over here. I need to sit everyone down because I got to figure out who the snitch is. And he was like, as soon as I find out who it is, I'm sending them to Hallelujah Square, point blank, period. So y'all need to be prepared. Okay.
Yeah, be prepared. We'll be prepared.
So Detective Toussaint meets up with Nuck and she is heated because she was like, you gave me a bad tip. Where are you getting your information from? And Nuck was like, I'm not telling you where I'm getting my information from. He's like, it is what it is. Everything did not go right. He was like, but y'all need to slow y'all roll anyway because Reggie is already on to people looking at him. You know what I'm saying? Like he knows somebody been following him. And, Detective Toussaint, she's just basically like, you don't need to make this mistake again. And Nuck was like, whatever, just continue to do your job.
No kill Rob.
Are you serious? You knew that and still took that lady's money?
So Bakari finally confesses to someone, okay? He tells Lene that Nuck is the one who unalived Rob. And I'm with Lene, like, why would you still take this woman's money? Like I said before, Bakari literally is playing in Alicia's face. Nuck is too, but Bakari more so because she took a liking to him and she looked out for him. And, she also let him know that don't do me dirty. You know what I'm saying? When she had that scholarship, she was like, you better not play with me. And I was shocked that Bakari confided in Lene, but I guess he just needed to get it off his chest. And when she said to Bakari, she's like, you keep choosing the streets over me. And, you know, she just feels like he's headed in the wrong direction. And it's like, honey, he's not headed in the wrong direction. He is already there. You know what I'm saying? Like this whole time that he has allowed this lie to continue to be spun, all these yarns that are coming from this lie that has been spun, honey, it is just too late to turn back. And again, I am surprised that Bakari was able to walk up out of Alicia's house unharmed. Okay. So Tink Tink, honey, he is getting his groove on with Zuri, I think Karuchi's character name is. And, he all up in the bed or whatever in the house, laid up. And Keisha knocks on the door and he's like, oh my God, I forgot to pick up my nephew. So this Negro then forgot to pick the baby up from daycare. And Keisha is bamming on the bedroom door. And so he asks Zuri, he was like, can you just do me this one favor one time? Can you just hide under the bed? And she was like, Negro, are you kidding me? He was like, please. He was like, I'm not trying to get kicked out. You know, I don't have nowhere else to go. If I get kicked out, he ain't going to have nowhere else to stay. So Zuri ends up hiding under the bed.
And your name is?
Zuri?
Nice to meet you. You can come out now.
So Keisha, she's very nice to Zuri. And I was like, come on, y'all. And this is just like, we literally just heard Jada say last week that she remember finding Keisha up under Emmett's bed, and Keisha was saying how nice, Jada was to her. Like, y'all could have been a little bit more original. Like, here y'all go. All of a sudden now, Zuri is under the bed, tink tink, trying to save face. And, Keisha's being nice to her, which Keisha should be nice to her. But I'm just like, y'all could have been a little bit more original with the whole scenario. Like, okay. But anyway, Keisha, she lets Zuri know, she's like, hey, we got Smokies in here, if you're hungry. And she's like, yes, thank you. I appreciate that. And, she just basically lets Tink Tink know, don't be leaving my son up at no daycare by himself. Like, he was the only kid. He was the last kid there. And, we also get to see later on in the episode, there's another moment where Tink Tink, he's laid out sleep and he calls her over. He calls Zuri over to help him out with the baby because, she said that he was crying because he couldn't have any more candy. And Keisha and Emmett see how good she is with their son. So they are going to potentially look into hiring her as a nanny. So Darnell, he goes to another meeting and he and Riley are talking. And, he lets her know that he's basically nervous and it's just weighing on him, the whole scenario with Jada. And he's just not, he don't know what he's going to do. He's trying to prepare himself, but he's just not ready for it. And Riley, she says to him, you just got to look forward to all the good times and things like that. She was like, if I could have any moment back with my husband, I will focus on all the good things and all the good times that we had. And so she mentions to Darnell, she was like, have you ever thought about having a living funeral? And he was like, yeah, I've heard about that, celebrating a person while they're still there. And I was like, what? Now, I've never heard of this, nor would I ever want to participate in one. Like, that is crazy. Okay. So the women, they have their women's circle meeting and they're talking. Jada, she basically lets everyone know that, you know, um, her cancer is back and that it's spread and pretty much that there's nothing that can be done. And I don't know if it was Tracy. I think Tracy did ask because I was wondering the same thing. Like she was like, "Have you gotten a second opinion?" And Jada, she was just like, "No, it is what it is." And so they're asking her if she's going to do treatment and things like that, and she says no because they're like, "Girl, you still got life to live. You need to fight for it." But Jada is tired. You know what I'm saying? She's just like, "No, it's not worth it to her." And Lene is even there, and she's like, "Have you ever thought about doing anything holistic?" A lot of people try holistic therapy, so I don't know. I'm wondering if Jada is going to change her mind and maybe look into doing some of those things. You know what I'm saying? Just to see if she can prolong her life. So the pulpit pimp, he and his ex-wife Carolyn seem to be doing well. Now, are they on the same page? I'm not sure, okay? And for me, okay, I'm like, all of this is so sudden, right? We just saw him get divorced from the young lady. Then he just broke up with Sarah. Now all of a sudden you're wanting to be back with your first wife who you never had enough time for. And so for me in this moment, I'm wondering, do you want her or do you need her? Do you understand? Because there's a difference. And to me, with everything that he's been through and him having to rebuild his church and his image, it seems as if he needs Carolyn more so than he wants her. However, I could be wrong. Okay. So baby Reggie calls the meeting, right? And he walking around the table like he Nino Brown, basically G checking everybody. Like, where was you? Where was you? What was you doing? This and that and the third. And so the guy who actually was one of the robbers, Reggie was like, why did she let y'all go? And he was like, because she said we want the ones that she wanted. And that really floored me, the fact that Detective Toussaint told those guys that they let them go after they caught them robbing a jewelry store because they were not the ones that she wanted. So Reggie knows for certain that it is someone in his group of people that he surrounds himself with that is telling his every move. And I was like, that was very, very meticulous of the detective to do because she knew that he would go back to Reggie, that information as far as them of her not wanting them. But that really, really shocked me that they let them go after they done robbed the jewelry store. And she basically was like, because you're not the person that I want, because she want Reggie to know that she is looking for him. But honey, why he walking around the table, acting like he Nino Brown from New Jack City, baby. I swear every time Reggie comes on the scene with this haircut, this is all I can think about.
Enough! Silence! I can't take this shit no more. Now, you done talked about me enough, boy. I try to be peaceful. But now, it's time for Reggie to karate-size your ass. Woo! Oh, yeah.
So Bakari, he's talking to Nuck and he's letting Nuck know, look, Alicia knows that I know who unalived Rob. She know I was there and it is what it is. And Nuck was like, what you mean? What are you talking about? How she know you was there? And Bakari was like, because I threw up, at the scene. And Nuck was like, oh man, you old simp, whatever. Like, you don't deserve to be my number two. And this and that third. And Bakari was like, I didn't ask to be your number two. Like, you made that decision for me. And quiet as it's kept, you made that decision for Bakari because you needed him to keep his mouth closed, which he has done thus far, mainly when it comes to Alicia. But my whole thing is, Bakari, you got an attitude. Nuck, you got an attitude with Bakari because you're concerned about what information he's going to give out when you did that to yourself. He lied to Alicia, and so did you. You lied to Alicia to her face, and you had her go unalive somebody else who ain't even had nothing to do with what you did to Rob. So, you know, I don't know how this is going to turn out. I say this all the time. It's too many hands in the pot, and it's boiling over at this point. Okay. So Papa and Pastor Zeke, aka the pulpit pimp, honey, they're having a conversation about, Pastor Zeke. He's kind of excited about the fact that he's, starting to rebuild his church and things like that. And Papa was like, with this being my dad's old church, some people are welcoming to you being here, and some people are not. They're not feeling it. And he was like, they feel like, that you're just using the congregation or whatever to build yourself back up. And Papa, he makes a comment like, people look at you as the pastor who fell from grace. And Pastor Zeke was like, I didn't fall from grace. I fell into grace. I fell to grace. And I was like, okay, sir. Okay, pulpit pimp. But anyway, he and Papa are having a conversation, and Papa tells him, you should come to my podcast to kind of give the people a listening ear of what it is that you're trying to do, and to get more people, I guess, to get more people's opinion of you to change. And so Pastor Zeke agrees, and he and Papa are just talking, and just out of nowhere, Papa's like, haha, dad. He calls Pastor Zeke dad. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. And Pastor Zeke was like, yeah, I get it, I understood. But that moment to me was just so unnecessary. Like, miss me with it. Okay. So Detective Toussaint, she goes to see Alicia, and Alicia basically says to her, like, when it comes to Nuck and Reggie, off with both of their heads. She was like, at this point, I want both of them 86. They need to be done, gone. And Detective Toussaint was like, it don't work that way. I'm doing what I can to make sure we bring Reggie down, but we can't just handle it any kind of way. And Alicia was like, she basically was like, I don't care how you handle it. Like, you just need to get the job done. And Detective Toussaint was like, I'm trying to get my son out of jail. I want my son back. And Alicia was like, I want my son back too. And Detective Toussaint was like, I can't bring your son back. And she tells Alicia that she wants Alicia to kind of befriend Reggie's girlfriend, Candace. And she was like, she don't know who you are. I need you to kind of, get to know her to see if you can start getting information, getting intel about Reggie. And Alicia was like, okay, well, what do you want me to do? And, she just told Alicia a couple of scenarios. And Alicia was like, girl, I am not new to this. Like, I know what I'm doing. And Alicia also made the comment was like, she know how to make a body disappear, basically. Like, I know how to get rid of somebody. I know how to 86 somebody and get rid of the body. And Detective Toussaint was like, okay, like, girl, do you understand that you are confessing to me that you have no problems getting rid of anybody's body? Like, oh, watch what you say. Okay. So Tiff, she and Nook are walking around looking at all of her products, right? Her trees, her plants, her shrooms, all of the stuff, okay? And Nook is very impressed with how well everything is going, how well her products look. And he says to Tiff, he was like, you should let my crew, basically run your substances for you, like, sell them in the streets or whatnot. And Tiff was like, I don't think that's a good idea that I do business with you, because Alicia is the one that invested in her business. And she was like, where you and Alicia at? Y'all not seeing it for each other? That is not going to work well for me. And of course, Doug, he does offer to kind of squash things with Alicia. But I'm thinking to myself, how are you going to do that, sir, when she is side-eyeing you for unaliving her son?
Because Alicia was the one that invested in my growth space and let me live in her house.
And
And she don't fuck with you.
she don't gotta know.
I'll think about it.
What if I make it right with Alicia? And we got a deal?
Hell yeah.
Yeah?
So Professor Gardner shows up in this episode, and he is meeting up with a group of guys, Bakari, Jake, and Papa included, and just basically speaking words of encouragement over them and just letting them know not to be a statistic. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to be a product of your environment. And Bakari also lets Professor Gardner know that Alicia pulled his scholarship, and Professor Gardner was like, why did she do that? And Bakari, of course, does not disclose that information, but Bakari does mention the fact, he's like, it's all good. I'm just going to focus on my book anyway. And Professor Gardner agrees, but he also said that he would look into why the scholarship was pulled, which I'm like, honey, you ain't got to do that. We already know.
But someone needs to be a voice for guys like you. You're not a monster. The cards have been stacked against you since before you were born. Society would rather see you locked up than in my classroom. That's why I fight so hard to keep you there.
And that's why I stay in church.
Okay, but don't hide out in the church too long, huh?
So we get this brief moment where Tiff goes to Nuck's place. And sidebar, why does she have this little bitty dress on? Like, y'all, sometimes some of these stylists on these shows, y'all, I don't know what y'all be doing. Like, that was so unnecessary. Anyway, Tiff goes to Nuck's place. And, she's a little surprised at how nice and neat or whatever his place is. I guess she expected it to be a little bit more grunge and gutter, but it was not. And for me, just watching this, I was like, you know what? At this point, whatever happens, happens. Because Tiff, I don't know what she doing. Okay, like at first, when he tried to kiss you in the car, you was like, nah, you wasn't feeling it. Because you just felt the way about him. And I was like, okay, you on the right track. You are feeling this way because he is the one who sent your baby's father to Hallelujah Square. Like, come on. Like, now you all seemingly, I don't want to say lovey-dovey, but it's just like you are too lenient when it comes to Nuck and your feelings. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And I get it. She feeling away because Vic did not tell her about Reggie. But it's just like, girl, you really, really, really playing with fire. And I'm telling you right now, when she find out that Nuck indeed is the person who 86 robbed, that is going to slap her in the face, and it is definitely going to sting. Okay? So Jake and Bakari, they're walking from the grocery store. Bakari is scratching off this lottery ticket. And when I tell you this threw me, okay, this whole thing threw me because it, in actuality, was a dream sequence.
Hey. Who that?
I don't know.
Let's dip.
So in this dream, Bakari gets popped in the leg and the chest, and we see Jake hovering over him, screaming, yelling, "Help, help!" And I'm thinking to myself, "Pull out your phone, Negro! Like, where's your cell phone?" And we see Bakari wake up from this dream. When I tell you, I was like, I'm wondering what this dream is going to mean to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is Bakari going to do with this dream? Because he knows that he has a target on his back, but he is uncertain of the direction that the person that's going to pull the trigger is going to come from. So Alicia does her due diligence, honey, and she goes to Candace's job. Candace works at a cell phone place. And, she walks in and Candace like, "How can I help you today? Would you like a cell phone or an iPad?" And, Alicia's like, "Oh, honey, my assistant usually purchases my phones and things like that." And Candace like, "What you do? You got an assistant or whatever." So, Candace is a little, she's interested in what Alicia got going on because she's like, "Okay, you're a boss lady, you got your da 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 going on. So hey, let me see what's how I can be like you." And Alicia, she's talking to her, and giving some information but not a lot. And Candace was like, "Yeah." Alicia asked Candace, "Do you have a man?" And Candace was like, "Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not too sure about him because he be in the streets." And Alicia was like, "Okay, you need to be careful about that, Nebu Nebu." And I was thinking to myself, like, do people actually just have conversations like this randomly? Like, I don't know. It just seems so cliche. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole interaction between them, it wasn't genuine. To me, it seemed very forced on Alicia's end. But I guess if you're a person living a life like Candace, anything outside of your normalcy is okay with you. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna try to get any information that you can out of people to, I guess, expand your life. You know what I'm saying? Expand her lifestyle or whatever. But it was just it was kind of forced to me, the whole scenario between the two of them. But I guess it worked nonetheless.
I love taking young women like you under my wing. You shouldn't have to wear that ill-fitting polo. Oh, and those horrible khakis. You need a big house, luxury car.
And I want to go to Tulum.
So Shad, he goes out with the woman he met at the block party, the woman that makes the candles. And he takes her to Smokies and he's very impressed that she was okay with them just going there. He did tell her that he feels like he often dates women that he's not good enough for. And he don't want to be looked at as just the dude who got out of prison who's still scraping to get by. And she tells him that it's okay to be that person. Basically, as long as you're a good dude, it's okay to be that person. It's just like, look, I make candles for a living. I know it's not gonna make me a lot of money, but I love to do it. That's what I love to do. And so Sha makes the comment like, "Oh, so you saying we could be broke together?" And she was like, "I'm not saying that." She was like, "Maybe we could try to be happy together." So we will see how this whole scenario turns out with Shad and his new potential boo-tang. Okay. So here we are at Jada's live memorial service. And again, I was not feeling this. I just don't like this at all. And I get it. Maybe it is a thing that people do, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I thought it was genuine. It was sweet. People giving her flowers. They had this moment where they handed her these yellow roses and stuff. But I don't know. I just don't like the fact that they are trying to get Jada off the show. Like, I don't like that. Like, she literally is the only OG parent outside of Tracy that's still on the show. And I want her to be around. Like, I'm not feeling this, but me getting out of my feelings. Okay. So everybody is basically, saying things about Jada, I guess, paying tribute to her or whatever at her live memorial. And when Emmett gets up there, and he tries to, say what it is he wrote down about his mom, he just breaks down. And that was such a very tender moment. I just felt so sorry for him because we know how Jada stayed on his butt and him and his baby mama's baby, okay? And, he just credits the way that he is and how he turned out a lot to his mom, as he should. And, she's been through a lot. And we also got to see the guy that Jada was messing with, when she was going through her first round of cancer, I think it was a massage guy who ended up being her boyfriend, that young guy, he ended up showing up and baby Darnell was not feeling it. He was like, drinks are over there. Like, get away from my woman. But again, the live memorial, it was nice. I just didn't like it. And like I said, the moment when they gave her flowers, and when Emmett broke down, his dad ended up reading the speech for him. I thought that was very sweet. Emmett, he's talking to his mom, and he tells her, I'm sorry I couldn't really finish my speech. And she's like, no, baby, that's okay. And he says to her, I love you. I don't know what I'm gonna do without you. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be the man that I am today. And she was like, you're the man that you're supposed to be, and I'm proud of you. She speaks a lot of words of encouragement to Emmett, and I appreciate her for that, because oftentimes when you have children who are like Emmett, with a lot of baby mamas and things like that, sometimes they get discouraged instead of encouraged. And I'm glad that we get to see Emmett, developing into the man that he deserves to be, not only for himself but his family. So he's gonna take it very hard once Jada, you know, once she passes. But again, I understand that they are just trying to prepare them for it. And I don't know. I just don't like the fact that they taking Jada off the show, y'all. I really don't. But he asks his mom. I mean, he tells her, how much he's gonna miss her, and she just basically lets him know that she wants him and Keisha to get up out of the shy.
Mhm. I want you and Keisha and the babies to survive.
What are you talking about?
It's too dangerous here. I want y'all to leave Chicago.
Ma, this city is all I know.
Promise me.
So Reg and Candace are at home chilling, and Candace is texting. And Reg was like, who you over there texting? She was like, my new mentor. And he was like, what you talking about? She was like, this woman came in the store. She rich. She got a lot of money. She even got her own assistant. I'm trying to be like her. I'm just trying to basically learn her hustle. Okay. Like, that's basically what it is. And Reggie was like, what's her name? And she was like, her name is Terry. She gave me her card. And Reggie looks at her. He's like, man, I don't trust that. I don't trust her. And, Candace was like, you don't trust anybody. And Reggie was like, I trust you. And she was like, why is that? He said, because I'm not a monster or something like that. And she was just like, yeah, but I know you got a serious, you got an attitude problem. Like, you got some temper issues. You just make sure you don't get temperamental with me. So Vic and Tiff, they're cleaning up after, the live memorial that they had for Jada. And, he's just saying how nice it was. And Tiff was like, yeah, it was nice. And then, honey, Tiff water breaks.
Oh, shit.
What?
My water just broke.
Oh, shit.
Oh, I'm a few weeks early.
No, don't worry. I got you.
I'm not ready.
Look at me. I'm gonna get you to the hospital, and everything's gonna be all right. You trust me?
So Reg convinces Candace to be his driver. He wants to go break into this home, and he wants her to be the getaway driver. And so when Reggie gets out of the car, Candace starts to text Alicia's phone. And, she's telling her, is it too late to talk to you? I'm kind of scared. And she's sending all these text messages to this woman like this woman knows her. And I was like, it's too much. But my attention is on Reggie, right? I'm wondering if he is breaking into Hannibal's house, and if he is about to go in there and murk Hannibal and his wife. That is the only thing going through my head in this moment. I see that Alicia is responding to Candace's text, and Candace is, a little uncertain and in her feelings. But the only thing I am thinking of is she is about to potentially be an accomplice to murder. Like, I really feel like, and I could be wrong, but this is just me guessing, that Reggie has broken into Hannibal's house and he about to go up there and 86 Hannibal and his wife. That is the only thing that is going through my head in this moment. And I feel sorry for Candace because she literally got herself in a conundrum that she really has nothing, she don't have anything to do with. And when Reggie asked her early on in the episode, I just want you to be a lookout. This is, the getaway driver. She's like, I'm not trying to get caught up in none of your mess. Like, miss me with it. Like, this is not the life I'm trying to lead. I'm not trying to get caught up. But ultimately, she succumbs to it and she tells him yes. And here she is sitting in the car, texting Alicia, who she don't even know, telling her that she's scared. Alicia asking her where she at. So I don't know how this is going to play out. I really don't. And unfortunately for Candace, she has no idea that she is being used by Alicia to get to Reggie, the very person that she is out sitting in the car being a lookout for and a possible getaway driver. You know what I'm saying? So I think next week is going to be the finale. And I don't know what's going to happen, but we shall see. We shall see. Well, that's all I have for you guys in this video. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I really, really appreciate the support, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.